What's good, y'all? Give me a little man over here. Yo, I got something real quick though. So I was peeping the vapor, right? And you see water, right? You on the side view, you see a puddle. So you see a puddle of water, right? Now just imagine like a flat surface. Then there's a puddle of water on the surface, right? When the sun is out, right, what it does, the fire, right, is it evaporates the water. Now this is big. It's hit me. It's hit me how simple this was and how it disproves so much and just proves so much. First off, they call this vapor, this water molecules. Now if you peek the planet, it's what, like 75% water? Okay. Got the continents and all of that and whatever, right? And all of this water, right? The planet is 75% water. Now, they say that this water molecule is like the key to life, right? But what you actually see is what you're seeing, right? Because water's in everything. What you're seeing is the transition of life. When this spirit is done inside of the water molecule, it leaves just like we leave the body, right? The body dries out the same way. When the body starts to die, it gets hard, catches rigor mortis, right? And then what happens? It starts to break down. It wants to dry out, right? Or be decayed and be eaten, but it wants to be dry, right? When no more life exists in it, then it starts to die. So when you see the water, when you look at water, you're looking at it from a different perspective than when you would if you were to see dead bodies, or excuse me, if you were to see people, right? You wouldn't see their vapor leave because of the perspective in which you're viewing it from. But I believe this is the spirit. This is the journey that one takes, right? So if I'm not mistaken, it's like fire, gas, and then earth, right? The elements and how they're placed. The fire is seen at the high, but that fire they speak of is like an ether, right? In astrology, the sun is actually the soul, just like the sun is Saul, and I think it was Greek, right? And then translated and comes out as sun, right? That's where soul came from, Saul, which is just sun. Okay, so really, in astrology, it's talking about the sun. It's not sun worship. They took that and flipped it around so that way you would be scared of it. That way they could say that it was sun worship. But they were talking about the sun's journey through life, right? That was always what they was talking about. They were telling you that everything is connected. So when you saw water evaporate and it go back up to the heavens, it's the same as you leaving the body and goes back. This stuff isn't water, okay? The water's here. This stuff possessed the water and gave the water life. But then once the water dries out from the sun, right, from the fire, once it's purged, then it's released. And then, see, this goes back. It's like gravity's irrelevant here. You got buoyancy here, right? Where you got, it's the same thing if you watch. What got me is my son was drinking out of his bottle, right? I'm trying to see if I can find his bottle here. And the air bubble, when he sucked, in the air bubble, you see the bubble rise? See? It separates because of the air. It follows up, right? Saw it earlier. I pointed it out. Watch it, little man, too, at the same time. It's kind of hard. I saw it when he was drinking it, though. See, this is applesauce. And it works with applesauce, too, because it's still, look, see, you see the water, air bubbles rise to the top. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It's simple stuff like this that they teach you not to pay attention to because you don't need to go to school to learn this stuff. The simple fact that the air bubble rises to the top, right, that's because the lighter element always separates itself from the heavier element. This is why we're bound, because our body is in a heavy state. Because the body's heavy, but the spirit is light. So when we're done with the body, right, then you will, if you are light, like the Egyptians said, you will have to be balanced. Your soul, you will be balanced. Your soul will be balanced on the scale of Ma'at, right? And your heart will be weighed on the scale of Ma'at. And if your heart is as light as a feather, then you'll be saved. But if not, you'll fall, right? So the higher elements, when you look at the vapor, that's proof, right, that the higher elements separate from the lower elements. So what you're seeing is the heavier elements actually separate, or the lighter elements actually separate themselves from the heavier elements. And that's how it is. When you look at it in nature, the lighter elements actually leave and separate themselves, right? So I actually heard that the higher atmosphere, because see, I'm a flat earth, I'm a flat earther. So what they say is the dome, it separates itself with hydrogen being at the top, because it's the lightest element, and then they break themselves down like that, just like in a bottle. If you were to leave a bottle of milk or something spoiling, then the lighter elements and the heavier elements would actually separate themselves. But the water molecule will be like the transition between the heavy and the light. Right, so once it's done in this state, in the physical state, then it leaves and goes back to the higher states. This means that there's no need for gravity or nothing like that. When you look at the bubble, then you see that the gas, because of the lighter elements, they separate themselves. Therefore, the higher actually fall. The heavier fall, the lighter rise. It's that simple. It's that simple. Gravity unnecessary. Flat Earth.